Hello, hello. Hope everyone can see and hear me. Always a little bit dubious about these Facebook Lives and whether they're actually working or not. So I'll just talk to myself for a little bit until I can see that some of you are joining me. And indeed, hopefully Karen, our re-engagement expert who I'm going to be interviewing. So I know it takes a little while to come through. So whilst that is happening, I'm just going to check on my iPad that we are actually live. Aha, there we go. I can see myself. Super. So we'll just wait for Karen to join. Now, this is a challenge. How do I see who's actually on here? Okay, I can see my live viewers. Let's see who that is. Where is Karen? Karen, I suspect you're on there, but my phone is only showing me the first 3 people who are on here live. So how I join you in, let me invite you and see if that works. Karen, invite. Karen, if you could pop off and then come on again, maybe it will show you, it's showing the most recent people who join. So if you go off and come on, then maybe you'll show up on my phone and I can bring you in that way. Okay, so let's just wait for Karen to join. Welcome to all of you who are joining us whilst we're just getting Karen on live here. Welcome Marion, welcome Royston, welcome Lucy, welcome V, welcome Nicola, and 20 odd more of you that I can't actually see at the moment. Marika, Emma is saying hello. Actually, Karen, if you could, if you write me a little note, maybe I can bring you on that way. Hi, Sarah. Good to see you. Karen, there you are. Let's see if I can. Oh no, Karen, it says can't bring Karen on camera at this time. How can that be? We thought it was going to be so simple. Okay, messages from any technical experts here who can tell me how on earth I can bring Karen on when I've got a little note saying can't bring Karen on camera. Why is that? Who's going to let me know? Okay, let's try again. No, it's not like me. Maybe Karen, maybe, because some people have got a little icon next to them that says, so I don't know if there's some setting on your phone or something that you can change. Yeah, try on your phone. Yeah, that's a great idea, Karen. That's probably why it's not letting me join you. Try that. And in the meantime, welcome everybody who's joined. We're just trying to get Karen on live. Oh, Lucy is saying you have to be on your phone. Brilliant. So some of you pop up and I have a little box that says bring them onto the camera. So Amanda Clark, welcome. If I wanted to talk to you, then I could bring you on and interview you, Amanda. Karen, you figured it out. Awesome. You want to be in my video. Right. So I'm going to... And hopefully we will now get a split screen. And I can say, introduce you to Karen. It's thinking about it. It's saying adding. Adding is flashing away with...
I'm here.
You're there.
Oh, I'm there. I'm just getting the tripod set up. Nothing like being prepared on the desktop. And there.
Yes, we'll know that for next time, Karen.
Right. I'm just going to switch off
that
because that's in the background. Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah.
This is a great lesson for anybody who's not yet done an interview over Facebook Live of how not to do it and how you need to be the other person to be on their phone and how to get it all set
there
up.
You go.
So thanks for your patience while we get this set up. Hi, Nicola. Hi, David. It's David Holland, Karen.
Hi,
Say
David.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm busy untangling because I had the wrong headphones. Because, of course, you need the bloody iPhone headphones to put into the iPhone
Amanda.
rather than the...
Yeah, no, David's a proper GDPR expert these days. I think he knows more about it than I do, so it's good to have him on. Okay, awesome. So
no pressure there, David.
Whilst Karen gets settled in, I'm just going to ask you guys some questions. So feel free to tap away in the chat box. And I want to know, because obviously this is all about running a re-engagement campaign to your list so that you can then follow that up with asking them for GDPR compliant consent to process their personal data for direct marketing purposes. So how many of you are thinking that your current consent isn't compliant for GDPR purposes and you are going to have to go to your list and ask for fresh consent? Let's just pop a yes or a no in the chat box, and let's see how many of you think that you need to get fresh consent. I imagine it's the vast majority of you, because that's why you're on here.
I would imagine,
but,
yeah.
But yeah, so lots of yeses coming through. Hi Ben, hi Valerie, hi Hazel, hello to everybody. Okay, probably a simpler question. Does anyone think they don't need to get consent? Okay, all right. So let's get into it now that Karen's all set up. Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us live. We're going to have a great session here. And just to give you the legal backdrop, I'm hoping that those of you who are in my group, and I guess that's everyone who's on here, unless Karen, have you invited people that aren't in the group from your group? I don't know.
Well, I think the only people that can join, they have to be a member of the group. So I've been letting people know, but of course they have to join the group to join the live.
I see. Okay. So everybody on this live stream is in my group. So therefore, hopefully you've already watched some of this stuff and you know the basics about GDPR. And the context that we're working in is that with GDPR, there is a higher level, a higher standard of consent for direct marketing than under the current data protection rules. So you have to have things like, for example, you have to have an affirmative action that's unambiguous, etc. And I'll read out the exact wording in a minute. But basically, you know, tick boxes are a thing of the past. There has to be genuine choice and consent. You have to provide people with a lot of data at the point, a lot of information about what you're going to be doing with that data at the point of collection. And there's generally a lot more to do in terms of getting a compliant consent under GDPR than there is under our existing legislation. So certainly I believe that, 99% of people will have to get fresh consent in order to be compliant with GDPR. Now saying that, just right up front, I want to say, there are no vast data protection police forces out that are going to be there on the 26th of May that have worked out that you haven't got exactly the right consent for, one or two people on your email list, or even all of your email list. That's just not going to happen. But what might happen is that what's happening is because this is becoming more significant, because there's a lot of this in the news at the moment, not just for business owners, but for consumers as well. Consumers are getting more savvy about their rights. So if you're not following GDPR, there's more risk that somebody is going to complain about what you're doing. That's more than likely the way that you're going to come to the attention of the authorities on this. Now, if you can show that you're working towards compliance on GDPR and that you haven't just turned your back on it, chances are that the ICO will, as they say in their own words, work with the carrot rather than the stick. Okay, so if you're working towards compliance and you haven't ticked that final box, chances are that all the ICO will do, if in the remote chance that they do investigate you, they will say, okay, well, here's how you're not compliant. Here's what I recommend that you do to be compliant. Or they might say you need to be compliant within a certain amount of time, and they will actually check that you are. Okay, but so let's have a sense check on all of this. We've seen the hypey headlines of fines of 20 million euros, but weigh up what your risk is. And if you are working towards compliance, if you've taken a few sensible steps, then your risk of being fined at all is very low. That said, you can't ignore it. Okay, I hope I'm getting that message through. There's a few simple steps that you need to take, but please don't be having sleepless nights about the tiniest bit of non-compliance and you getting fined 20 million, because that just isn't going to happen. Okay, so with consent, and sorry, Karen, I've realised I've launched into it without really introducing you, but I'll come on to that in a minute.
You go ahead. Set the scene. I'm with you.
Okay. So back to consent. So consent should be given by a clear affirmative act establishing a freely given, specific, informed and unambiguous indication of the data subject's agreement to the processing of personal data relating to him or her. Okay, so that's our new standard of consent. And the standard of consent for sensitive data, which is things like your religious beliefs, your political persuasion, your sexual orientation, health data, things like that. That's sensitive data. There's an even higher level of consent for that, which is explicit consent. And examples of the ways that we can get explicit consent is for somebody to sign an actual form with their signature with the right privacy notice, or to get a double opt-in if you're doing it online. Okay, there's no mandatory requirement to get a double opt-in. That is purely one way of evidencing consent, and it's an example that is recommended when you're dealing with sensitive data. Okay, but in summary, it means no more opt-outs, it means no more pre-tick boxes, it means genuine choice and control, it means transparency about purposes of processing, and wherever possible, and I think the keywords there are wherever possible, giving separate or granular options to consent to different purposes and different types of processing. So ideally, what you're looking at is tick boxes for newsletters, for further marketing, for transfers to third parties, etc. Okay, so that's just the backdrop as to why there is a higher level of consent now, and what that higher level is, and why your existing consents are likely to be deficient, and why you're probably, if you want to be GDPR compliant, going to have to go out and get refreshed email consent from your list. So hence, that's the backdrop. Hence, I'm absolutely delighted to have with us marketing expert Karen Skidmore, who feels really passionately about GDPR. I've seen lots of your posts and comments about it, Karen. And as a marketer, you know, you see it from both sides, don't you? And I think, you know, like me, you can probably see the positive of this, but in terms of, it's a great opportunity actually to look at your list and to look at what you're doing with that list, and like we're going to be talking about now, doing a re-engagement campaign. So I'm sure you can see the positive in all of this.
Yeah, I can, absolutely. I mean, I must admit, I have a very simple business, so I don't have too much around the sensitive data. So I totally appreciate there is another side to GDPR, which is a completely different thing of data security and sensitive data, whereas what we're talking about here is actually, it's the non-sensitive stuff. It's the basic marketing information. And for me, that is, it's an amazing opportunity to re-engage. I suddenly realised you're that side of my screen, Suzanne, but my camera's that side, so I'm going to end up, I should have actually
I think I'm looking a bit cross-eyed as well.
I'm going to be going like this, but I'm not going to flip the camera over because I think it might upset all the rotation. So if my eyes go like this, it's because I'm looking there and there. So for me, this is, I just feel, okay, on one hand, it can be a real headache for a lot of organisations to go, oh my good, and particularly small business owners. I've seen the anxiety levels in your group bubble up from hearsay. And in fact, I did a bit of it wasn't really a rant, but I got so fed up with some of the stuff I was seeing in another Facebook group of people taking things that they hear from one person to another, and it's Chinese whispers, it's all what Trump might call fake news, and it sends people into spirals where actually GDPR, I really believe in it. It's what we need to protect my data. And I think it was you that said that, you know, data is the most valuable commodity on the planet now.
It was me quoting The Economist.
Was it quoting The Economist? Yeah. So it's, I mean, it's there. And when we think of what happens to our data, it can be sold for all sorts of things and very unscrupulous companies, where most of us here, I would like to think all of us here are running morally and ethically based businesses, that we are actually coming at this from a point of view of, well, we do actually care about our databases details, and we're not going to be flogging off to the person who wants to buy a list from us without actually getting consent from our list. So it's a really good thing. And then from an engagement point of view, it actually forces us as business owners to really love our lists and really make sure that we've got engaged people on our database, on our email newsletter list, rather than chasing the numbers which I see so many people doing.
And that's why I'm really pleased that you've come on here, Karen, because that's what you're brilliant at. I think you had a training years back, didn't you, called something like the diamonds in your list, or was it something like that?
Diamonds in the backyard, yes.
Yeah, and it was all about exactly what you say. It was about really nurturing the list and listening to them and giving them what they wanted, as opposed to just this, in my view, not very intelligent marketing exercise of just trying to get the numbers, and then and in a wider base that most of them aren't interested in what you're saying. Far better in my mind to segment and give them what they actually want than not to do that.
Yeah. And I see so many people, and I think it comes a lot from the internet marketing world, of people wanting to put their business online and get into digital marketing and start to list build. And it's when people start to see their list as email addresses, not as human beings. And my argument always is that we're not driving traffic to websites. We're sending people to look at what we're offering. We're not getting email addresses onto a list. We're building a community. And when we go to digital, it's about recognizing that each one of those email addresses is a human being who might actually buy something from us. And when we treat them like a list, it's not surprising that people don't read your emails, don't click the links, click spam, report you. And that's what I think we can really benefit from GDPR, is bringing the love back into our community and engagement with our lists, our people who want to hear from us.
I love that. Bring the love back to your lists.
Yes. Yeah, come on. It's like a campaign. Bring the love back.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Okay. So let's strip this right back. So I've heard some people say, gosh, we've both seen people in my group say, I'm thinking of closing my business down because GDPR is such a nightmare. But there's probably people there who are also thinking, I'm just going to stop email marketing because it's just too much of a headache to get my head around.
Yeah.
For me, email marketing is still an incredibly important piece of my marketing jigsaw. I have to say, I'm moving more to platforms like this where I'm having a group community, but email's still super, super important to me. What's your view on that, Karen, for those people that are thinking, maybe not putting as much focus on the email marketing?
Yeah, and I'm totally with you. There's an awful lot, particularly when social media started to come about and everyone started to get into Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and all the rest of them. There was loads of stuff that was starting to come around. Email marketing is dead. Why do we still have emails when people are messaging on Facebook and we're using so many different platforms of communication? But actually, there's some really interesting studies now. In fact, I'm going to forget the studies now. What was it? It was... email, the number of email users, registered addresses are twice as many as Facebook. So there's 2 billion Facebook users, but 3.7 billion email accounts that are active and being used. And what was it? In 2016, there was reports that 28% more emails were sent than in 2015. So it's not dying. There's certainly a lot more crap coming through on email. There's no doubt about that. And we think about, what we were using email even just 5-6 years ago, the amount of just pure rubbish that comes through. And I think people see email as a cheap way of messaging people. It's like rubbish. And so they just tend to put a whole load of rubbish out. Where actually when we start to see that as an individual, and you think of how many times we communicate personally, and we get an email from friends and family, it's that first email we open and read. So the stats, when there's big researches are done, and in fact, I found a report as well. In fact, I haven't got it. Where did I find it? I thought as well that the young'uns, the millennials, weren't using email, but that's far from truth. There was somebody called Adestra did a report in 2018 that 70% of teenagers still use email. So, my daughter still uses email. She's a rubbish email management system, but she still uses it. And so it's still part of the communication mix.
Yeah, and sorry, just to interrupt you there. David Holland says, David Holland, for those of you who don't know him, super Infusionsoft specialist, a really good guy to know. So connect with David if you need any kind of Infusionsoft help. But he says email is the transactional platform for most people and businesses. And it's true. And, I think of what platform do I buy off? And it's email. You know, I might find out about things through a different platform, but typically it's an email that I'm buying from.
Yeah, you can't buy anything online without having an account associated with an email address. So even if you might click on an app on your phone or you swipe your phone, the back is always behind an email address that you have confirmed that you are a real person. So email is never, I don't believe, will ever die in that sense. But what has changed dramatically in the last 5 or 7 years is that people are, and in fact, again, there was another report that I found that on average, people get 88 emails a day, but they only send 34. So they're getting 2.5 times more email than they send.
Only
so
88? I think I get about 5,000.
Well, that's average. That's average. Yeah, I know exactly. When I look at my inbox, especially on the promotions tab, it's like, pop, and it comes in. Obviously, it depends on how many email things that you subscribe to, doesn't it? And what you get dumped on as well. But you think of the sheer volume, and actually, I think it's a lot more cluttered and it's a lot more trashy. And to see through that noise is incredibly challenging. So it's actually, for people that want to give up on email marketing, I say great, because it means that it makes it easier for us who aren't giving up on it to get heard. So please don't. You know, it's with all of these things, there's never a quick and easy, cheapest way of marketing your business. Most of the stuff now, we have to put strategic thought into it. We've got to put some time and planning. We have to put stuff in to get stuff out. So, you know, it is there. It's here to stay. And GDPR is forcing us to make sure that we are really recognizing the importance of these email addresses, and we're protecting them, and we're looking after them and nurturing them so we can build a lifelong relationship with these people.
Absolutely. So obviously the whole thrust of this interview is about re-engagement. Why is it, and this is, you know, it's a simple question, but I think it's important for people to understand how key this is. Why is engagement of people on your email list so important?
Yeah, and I think this is it. It's now I'm gonna come at this as a very simple. My philosophy is to make marketing and business as simple as possible. So when we look at it, is that when you send out an email, so somebody signs up to your list, your email is coming out either from Infusionsoft or MailChimp or Aweber or whatever email marketing platform you use. So whenever emails come out of these systems, they go to email servers, which is Gmail, AOL, Apple Mail. So it translates over. So any emails that come from the big email marketing systems are already kind of ring-fenced by the Gmails of this world and all the rest of them, as that's an email that's sending promotional marketing stuff. So you already got that going on. And so when the email lands in someone's inbox, it is not necessarily going to get as high priority by Google or Apple or AOL or Hotmail or whatever platform you use as an individual email that comes through by one person. Okay. Now, if that email...
it's going to find its way into your spam box.
Yes. So what happens is, generally speaking, the email will arrive to begin with, okay? Because it's an email that's been sent once. Now, what happens is that if you send up, for example, someone signs up to your list and they are on a 14-day autoresponder sequence, so they get an email once a day for 14 days, the first email will generally get through. Now, if that person does not open or reply to the email, and those are the two things that email servers kind of watch, you know, there's not people that actually, it's all done by computer algorithms. But if the email is not opened or it's not replied to, what happens is it starts shunting down the priority list. And it's why, if you're a Gmail user, for example, you already know you've got a inbox, you've got a social tab and a promotions tab, isn't it? That's how it goes, isn't it? And your emails will start to go in the promotions tab. So it comes out of the priority box into promotions. And then if it hangs out in the promotions box for those 14 days and it just gets deleted before even being opened, it then starts shunting down to the spam folder. And once it goes into the spam folder, that's it. And there's every chance that actually it doesn't even make it there in the end. It's blocking it before it even gets to your spam folder. And this is why when you look at your list and you look at your list hygiene, as it's called, you know, how clean is your list, there's a lot of people that might get soft bounced emails. So if you actually email them personally, the email will get through. But if it tries to go through your email marketing system, it's being blocked because that person's not engaged with that email. So when that happens and you get more and more people like that on your list, it actually affects the deliverability of your whole list. So say, for example, you've got 1,000 people on your email list and 600 of those people are unengaged. The 400 people on your list are less likely to get your email because those 600 people are dragging down your deliverability rates. So people have been building lists over a long period of time. You might have been list building for 4, 5, 10 years, for example, and you've got a whole load of old email addresses that are hard bouncing, that aren't even working anymore, soft bouncing, and you're wondering why your deliverability rate has sunk from 35% down to 10%. That is why. And it's hurting your business because you're leaving. It's like going out. In fact, I've just written a big report about this, which I'm going to let people know about. It's like having your best party invitation, and you're out there on your front street and your front door going, yeah, I've got a great party back here, and people are joining your list and coming into your party, but you're staying at the front door trying to bring all the new people in. Everyone in the party is going, oh, where's my drink? You're not giving me any nibbles. God, this is a crap party. And they're disappearing out the back door. But the problem is they're still being counted as a party guest, and the party's getting worse and worse and worse. And yet you're still out the front trying to build your list going, well, why is my business not growing? So this is why it's really important from a business profitability point of view. If you're spending time getting people onto your list, paying for Facebook ads, for goodness sake, and you're letting everyone out the back door,
I have so totally been
down
guilty of that. I have totally been there. So been there. And I know the problem is, I absolutely know the theory and what I should be doing. And then business and life just gets in the way, and you've just, dumped a whole load of cash on a Facebook ads campaign. Yeah. And then, you are planning on writing this amazing sequence and this automated webinar and blah, blah, blah. And it never happened, and all that money was wasted. And, all those poor people didn't get any valuable information.
Yeah, and it feels so much easier because that's the kind of where people feel they need to go. Oh, I've got a program, so I need to go and get more people. And I hear that so many times. I need to go and get more clients. But what they're forgetting, even if you've only got a few hundred people on your list, you've already paid to get them onto your list. And it's those people. And in my experience, it can take anything from 6 to 18 months for some people to step forward and buy anything from me. They lurk for months and months and months and months, sometimes years, before they actually come forward and say, I've loved your stuff, Karen. I've been getting your emails for 4 years and I'd like a call with you. And that for me is like it feels like, God, it's taken that long to convert somebody. But all I'm doing is my job is sending out good stuff and writing emails that make them smile and engage with them, and they hang around until they're ready. So just be aware is if you've got a great party invitation and you're getting people in through the front door, check your back door because they're all buggering off at the back there.
Awesome. So I want to ask you, I think I'll ask you that later because you're probably going to come on to it, but that bit about, you've really got that one opportunity in that first email to get them to do something. What we should be thinking about in terms of the content for that first email. But I think we'll come on to that later when we talk about what kind of re-engagement sequences we can do. So why is it important to, before the 25th of May, put some thought into this and rather than just, emailing out and saying there's some new legislation coming up, I need your consent. Why is it a good idea to actually do a re-engagement campaign before the 25th of May and before you send that email?
Yeah, now I think this is it. People have got to, first of all, be really honest about how they've been treating their list. So I'm sure all of us have had the odd email come through from somebody saying, oh, I'm now got to be GDPR compliant, click this link. And what you've got to remember is that if you've not been sending out engaging emails and actually giving them value, first of all, they might not even know who you are. So if they go, who is this person? When am I? And it actually can sometimes spark, how dare you? How did you get my email address? And actually, you signed up for something.
I love writing emails
ago.
back and telling them exactly what they signed up for.
Yeah. But if they've not been getting any emails from you, it's the perception. Perception is reality. If they feel that you've stolen their email address from somewhere and they don't remember signing up for something 6-9 months ago, because frankly, how do we remember all of this stuff? And they suddenly get this email out of the blue to say, hey, so I can send you some emails about me, click this link. If they don't know you, they're going to ignore you or they're going to click spam. If they do know you, but all they've been getting is buy me promo stuff. Oh, she's launching another program. Oh, she's got something else she's buying, or he's doing this. Again, they're going to go, oh, thanks. But do you know what? All I've been sold to for the last 6 months is this. Thanks. I won't bother. So you've got to remember that if you haven't got people engaged with you already, why would they want to keep getting emails if they're not getting value and they don't want to get sold to all the time? So it's common sense. Don't just knee jerk this and go, oh, I've got to be GDPR compliant. Where's that email that's in Suzanne's pack? Oh, I'll download it. Right, fill in the gaps. I'll send it out. Yay, I'm GDPR compliant. Because what will happen is you'll get either a whole load of people unsubscribing anyway, or you'll start May the 25th with maybe 5% of your list who have said yes, and you're going, oh, I'm ground zero again. So yeah, do some warming up before you get to this deadline of May the 25th. We've still got plenty of time to do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what type of campaigns do you think that it would be a good idea to use to re-engage with your, let's call them people, the people you're loving on your list?
Yes. Let's not call them emails anymore. They are human beings. Hopefully they won't be robots that have just gone onto your list. They will actually be people that have gone on there and signed up. So look, there's a ton of things that you can do. And in fact, actually, I was just going to do a little checklist for people who were interested and just to give them, but I actually ended up writing almost 5,000 words. I got so embroiled in this on Tuesday with this coming up, and I was like, this is obviously something I needed to get out there in front of people, but there's plenty of re-engagement campaigns you can do. For those of you going, I've got to be taking lots of notes here. If you want to get a copy of the 5 re-engagement campaigns that I'm going to talk about, I've got something that you can sign up for and you can have them all, and it's all there written out. So awesome. If that helps people just to go, I just relax, just listen, and then you can get the whatever it is that I've got, like a 20-page report here with it all written out and spaced out. But there's a number of them, and I think it depends on what kind of businesses we're talking about. And you're all going to be at different stages. What content you've got? Have you just started? And I think the first one, and this is one that you should be doing, Suzanne, because this is perfect for you, is what I call the nothing but value re-engagement campaign, where when you've got...
I'll make a note. Oh, no, I don't need to, because I'll just get your handout.
Yeah, well, I sent it to you this morning, actually. But,
oh, did you?
Yes,
very much.
It's all there. But it's called Nothing But Value. And actually, it's very simple of going back to your blog or your vlogs or your Facebook posts or wherever you created content. And it is as simple as planning out about 3 weeks worth. Now, there's no absolute... I don't want this to feel prescriptive. I know there's lots of people who go, give me a template that I can just fill in the blanks. And I want to know... If I send it out on Tuesday, should I do it 10 o'clock or 12:30? Will that make it? No, look, just think about doing an email twice a week for 3 weeks where you are doing nothing but giving them some really great content. So if you're just starting out, this might be too much work for you. But if you've been going for 6 months plus and you've got half a dozen good blog articles that you can kind of wrap up into kind of a bit of a mini series, if you like, and just send them an email on a Tuesday and a Friday, every week for 3 weeks and give people an opportunity to open the emails, to click through and read the blog, watch the video, and just give them some value about what it is that you can do for them before asking for that opt-in again. So most of you here can do this. I'm sure you can. So is that a fairly simple one to do?
It is. But is there any, you know, what you were saying about, so if you've just been selling or whatever, or you just haven't sent emails for ages, and well, actually, no, maybe you people just haven't been opening them for whatever reason, and you're now in their spam folder. What can we do about that? So if that is our re-engagement campaign,
well, if you're in the spam folder already, unfortunately, there isn't much unless that person finds that email and replies back to it. If you are down there, you know, to be able, because what's happened is it's already got that message that it's a crappy email.
So could you look at doing something on another platform, like maybe some retargeting Facebook ads to your email list with something that's like super high value that they're going to sign up for, and have like big letters on the sign up box saying, if you don't receive this within a few hours, check your spam box. And then when they go into it, they not only download it, but they maybe you say, reply to me for X, which is even more valuable. So you've then got a download and a reply out of that email. Is that possible?
Yes. Now that I think is a genius idea. The problem with that is that I think the majority of people, that is just too much for them to actually implement. So for people, and it'd be interesting to see who's here. For me, it's about creating something so simple that you can actually implement this and get this done. What you'll decide there is almost like an advanced, and you go for somebody who might have an email list of, say, 10,000 people, and they know, actually, crikey, if I don't do something about this, and they space out and they take literally a month to plan this and make sure it all goes through. So it's not something, you know, to put, it sounds very easy to say, well, we just put a Facebook ads, but you know, and I know that to get a Facebook ad and know who you're targeting and how much money you need to spend to get the right people, it just adds that level of sophistication to it, doesn't it? So I would say totally, if you know that your list is pretty out of whack, then yes, you may need to go, right, I need to put a stop to all my promotions or marketing, and let's really think about doing this for the next 2 months. But for the majority of small business owners, let's make this as simple as possible, that if you can just start off and do that for example, for 3 weeks, at least you'll know at the end of the 3 weeks how engaged your database is. And you'll know how engaged they are by the clicks. It still amazes me how few people recognise that they can look at how many people click through on the links, and then they've got a considered list of, well, there's my active subscribers. It doesn't have to be anything more complicated than that.
I guess if people don't want to get into the realms of Facebook ads, then they could just be sharing their blogs on social media, on LinkedIn or whatever, and then, you know, then you've got the call to action in the blog as well as in the email. So, you know, there's a, you know, click here to get your freebie, hugely valuable freebie from the blog. And then there's that same thing with, you know, check your spam folder. And then you've got that, you know, that really compelling call to action.
Although what comes to mind is that's actually, you don't, for me, I'm not sure I would want to have something going out saying check your spam folder, because it insinuates that my stuff's going in their spam folder. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That kind of, that's what just I suddenly realised. It's thinking, I think you need to separate the two. I think you need to do campaigns on your database, but what you're talking about is actually going out there and building a fresh list again. And it's not an either or thing. It's when are you going to do what when? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I often have on my thank you pages, go and check your spam folder, because even I find that with Infusionsoft, even sending to completely new people, it still ends up in their spam folder. So for example, my receipts, my invoices for all of my online products, I can guarantee will end up in people's spam folders. And that's the first thing that people are getting from me. So I actually always say on most of, well, I say always, I 90% of the time I will say on my thank you pages, if you don't receive whatever, please go and check your spam folder. So I personally don't have an issue with it. Maybe it's an individual thing.
It was just interesting concept of what words to use. But I think this is it. It's like you've got to try something, and being brave enough to just get on and do something rather than sit there and just send out that email that, you know, because of course in your GDPR pack, you've got that brilliant email to sort of send out to people and you know that you are compliant. And it's thinking, before I do that, why can't you send out some good stuff before you send out that email? So if you want to add another layer on, by all means, start thinking about what you can do on your social media platforms, because obviously it doesn't have to be about Facebook. You might be on LinkedIn. It might be you hang out in your clients hang out in Instagram. Mention it what you're doing in social media, but the important thing about it is it's not a selling campaign. Do not be tempted to start bolting on. Oh, and by the way, I've got an event next week, or I've got a special offer here. It is just about the value. I think people can get caught up with I've got to make sure I'm selling something at the same time if they're going to open up an email. Be patient, bide your time, focus on the value first, get the consent again, and then you can start, you know, whining and dining and going on second date and third date.
Yes, exactly.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
So that's number one campaign.
Yeah. So that's the one.
What's
and that's
another example. Is that probably the main one that people who are in the expert space should be thinking about?
Yeah, because I think it's one of the easiest ones to do without having to create fresh stuff. I'm all for recycling, repurposing, use what you've got already, even if it's a year old, for goodness sake, because they don't know that the people that you're sending to they don't expect fresh stuff, don't need to go and write 6 new articles. Use what you've done already. It's there. It's reuse and recycle.
Unless there's a new law that's come into force, in which case
obviously
you
if you're
can't
GDPR,
send out your old posts about data protection, for example.
Oh well, yes. You personally might be a little bit restrictive on that, but you know, there's some good stuff you've got there that's fairly evergreen. Yeah. But yeah.
Good. Okay, so that's for us experts in the house. How about what if you're more product based? Have you got anything that would cover people that are wanting to re-engage who are selling products?
Yeah, in fact, actually, it takes very nicely on to number 2, which actually would suit really well for people with products, is what I would call a quick question survey. And I think all of us here, me included, do not do enough surveys. Now, this, I don't think you'll get, well, it depends on what your list is all about, but actually, again, this is not about selling, but actually going out and asking a question of what is it that you what's the one thing you have about the problem. In fact, what was the questions I've written down here? I'm trying to say it off the thing, but they're so simple. Here we go. What's the biggest challenge in your whatever it is problem right now? What is it that I can help you with right now? If it's a product based, give me an example of someone with a product in the group here.
Dog shampoo.
Do you know what? I was wondering what you're going to say there, dog shampoo.
And because I got sent some recently from a lovely lady, Debbie, in my group. I was talking about my hands being all cracked because of washing my hands because of my dog. And she sent me some lovely hand balm and about 4 bottles of really lovely dog shampoo. So there you go. So maybe you've got a problem with I don't know, maybe you've got a dog that has really bad dandruff and you've got a specialist dog shampoo.
There you go. So that, I think that's a really good example. So sending out an email asking your list, the people on your list, about what is the problem that you have about washing your dog. And actually just having something that's that might not be the most earth-shattering question to ask, but it doesn't need to be too clever, but it needs to be related around what it is that you're selling, and keep it really simple. You can do this in 2 ways. You can do it as a simple open question, or you can do it as an A, B, or C. One will work better than the other. You won't really know. You need to try this out. But the important thing about this one is that you're not asking them to click onto an online survey. The purpose of this one is to reply back to the email with the answer. Now, what's good about that one, obviously, is that the thing that Gmails and Hotmails and AOLs look for is replies to. So they do look at the clicks, but they're not so bothered about that. It's the open rates and the reply to. So by asking a quick question like this, and all they want to do is just reply back to the email, it's sending out that very strong message to say, oh, this is a personal email, I'm replying to it. Okay, so can you see the really simple process? Now, I do this. Anybody who's been on my list will quite often see me ask questions, and all I want to do, particularly if I'm doing a webinar, I will always ask a quick question. What do you want to know about what I'm teaching tomorrow? Give me, because one hand, it genuinely helps me answer the right questions, and it gives me some really, gold information about what are the problems that are happening. But there's also an email marketing thing going on there, because I know if they can reply back to that email, it's giving a really strong message back to their email server that they like me enough to reply to me. Okay. So this asking people to reply, you will not get as many people replying as you will do a click. That's absolutely, I'm sure of it. But the people who do reply are going to suddenly go whiz straight back up again. And you may have noticed this yourself. If you've been on someone's email list and reply to an email, all of a sudden their emails start coming back into your primary inbox. That can happen very quickly. So asking a quick question like that, and those emails are really simple. It doesn't need a lot of writing. It's a really quick introduction. And a dog shampoo, you can really, if someone's selling a dog shampoo and they got that, what the problems are really. But you're just getting people to say, yeah, that's the problem I have.
And people love to give their opinions as well, don't they?
Yeah.
If you ask for people's opinions, oh my goodness, if they actually get to see the email, then chances are they'll reply, because people love to give a good opinion.
Yeah, and I think you can generally put it so, I'm thinking about doing this and I really need your help. I would appreciate your input. I'm putting together a focus group. Just relate it to what you're doing. But people just love putting their tuppence in, don't they? So create that opportunity. But it's the replying back to that email, which is what creates the sort of power to trigger back that email back into the engagement. And then obviously following it through with the GDPR consent, they'll hopefully have remembered that they've replied back to that email. And go, oh yeah, they're the good dog shampoo company. They were asking my opinion. Of course, I want to be on their list. Yeah,
brilliant. Okay, awesome. So that's 2 of them. How many? Two of them. Time to go through.
Well, I'll do the. If I go through the other 3 quite quickly, and as I say, you can get all of this in the report, all broken down. But the third one is for those of you who've got a lead opt-in already. Is actually, and I've seen a lot of people do this already. So if you've got a good party invitation to get people onto your list, ask them to re-opt in. In fact, David Holland, he probably wouldn't know that he sent it to me because it's all in the automated campaigns. Did a really good one of, would you like a copy of the Infusionsoft Guide to Marketing Small, I can't remember what it was now. And I went, oh, of course, I haven't opened it already. Sorry, David. But of course, I went through and click through to the page and then put my name and email address in and re-opted in. So that's a really, what you're doing there is you're getting people to open the email, there's something of value, they click through, they put their name and email address again, and there's no reason why you couldn't tie that into having that tick box and GDPR compliance at that time. So that makes it a really efficient way of getting people. But I'd probably do that more with your more engaged list, if you see what I mean. I wouldn't do that with the really dead and buried ones just yet. But again, that's something to try. If you don't get anywhere with the articles, just send them out to the thing that they signed up for in the very first place. A lot of people might not remember they've got it already.
Okay,
so
that's good. So you're saying just send them what they signed up for already. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because you think about how many things we sign up for. Where did it go? It just disappeared off. So you don't have to come up with anything new. The whole point of this is use what you've got already. Don't think this, I've got to come up with a new lead opt-in, new lead magnet. Use what you've got already. It's just another way of engaging people.
And even if you've got a few good ones, I guess the rationale of sending them the one that they've already opted in for is, that they're really, really interested in that because they've already opted in for it once.
Yeah,
and like you say, chances are people, they opt in and don't ever actually get round to reading it or doing anything with it. So actually, even if they remembered signing up for it, it'll be a good reminder for them to revisit it or to actually do something with it.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that idea. That's good.
Yeah. There's another one which I see a really fun brands do. So the dog shampoo company could do this one. It's more of a humour one, and I'm sure we've seen these ones. I think this is the toughest one to do for a lot of people because humour done badly. It's done really badly. But if you've got a really fun business where it's, the dog shampoo, you could have, for example, put together a playlist of sad songs, oh, we've missed you. You can, find, it doesn't even have to be your content. If it's a publicly available video that you can embed onto a web page on your website, you can make a bit of fun. The psychological reason behind that is if you can make people smile and laugh, they are more likely to feel connected with your brand. So there is a seriousness to humour. And why humour is used in marketing, but be aware that it doesn't work with every single brand. So that's the kind of.
I love that idea. I'm totally going to do that for GDPR, like a playlist of chill out songs or something like that, to calm people down about GDPR. Great idea.
Yeah, and it's about if you can make people smile, maybe not laugh absolutely out loud, but make people smile. We are connected. That's what brings the human emotion into marketing. And people are very unlikely to then click the spam button if they've smiled and found funny. Yes. So that's a fun one to do. And the last one is what I call the Ron seal, which is, it does exactly what it says on the tin. So if you run a fairly straight-laced business and you are a little bit more, not say grey suited, but you're just you don't have a whole load of articles. It's actually just send out a well-informed email and keep it really simple, and to say this is what's coming your way. Click here to let us know that you still want to hear from us.
So something fairly similar to what I said in my email. Really, there wasn't much marketing spin on it at all, but it was just here's what's coming up. Click here type thing.
But you're coming at it saying, exactly. You're reminding people that this is happening and what value that you are promising that they're going to get, and obviously following through on that promise. So, if you don't want to do anything funny or it's just too much, just keep it what I call Ron seal and just do it. Don't sit there and then panic that you've got to send out this one email. And if people don't click the link to that one email, you can never send anything to them again. That's not the case at all.
And what do you think about thank you for that, that's awesome, but what do you think about say you've sent out your email, so you've done your value, maybe you put a bit of humour in there, maybe you've mixed a few of your suggested campaigns up, and then you go for the crunch email of under GDPR you need to click here to consent, and they don't do it. What's your recommendation for that? Do you think I've got 3 weeks left before GDPR comes in, I'll send them another email and another reminder, or what's your view on that?
I think you've got to look at this pragmatically. So there are some people that still love you but don't want to get your emails. Unsubscribers are good for your list. I have seen people be on my list, come off my list, come back on my list, get back. They just yo-yo off and on. Don't take it personally. You've got to walk away at some point. It's like dating. If you really fancy somebody and you keep hounding them and keep stalking them, they're going to report you. It's like you do what you do and then move on. It's about the follow-up. But anything, you decide what's your cutoff point, but never become desperate. As soon as you start to get desperate, you get too attached to the outcome and you start getting stressed and anxious about it. If you can't get people to re-engage with you, you can't get people to opt in, that's fine. Start afresh. Give yourself a really kick up the butt, so when you do go out and list build, you darn well look after them when they do sign up. Make it a reality check for you. So, business is not over. Just take it as a wake-up call that you have to change the way that you're doing your email marketing.
Yeah, no,
Yeah?
absolutely. Okay, so let's finish off with opt-in checkboxes. How can people here simplify the number of lists that they need to be asking for consent for? So this takes us back to the point that I raised at the start about granularity of consent and breaking down your processing and ideally having tick boxes for each different type of processing.
Yeah. Look, I know seeing this coming up quite a bit. And in fact, there was a few posts I wanted to jump in. I went, no, I'll wait to the Facebook Live and then I can, see, because I can see people taking your very strong legal advice and what is true and right to have that granular consent. But when they relate it to their business, I can just imagine the look of horror on their faces when they're realizing I've got to have a checkbox for my newsletter, a checkbox for my offers, a checkbox for this. Now, I think we've got to be sensible about this. And I'm obviously not coming at this from a legal point of view. And this is nothing to do about sensitive data. This is about email address marketing data. I think you've got to think about what you're doing in your business. So for me, what I am doing and what I have decided, which is the right thing for me, is that I only send out one email list. I do not have a newsletter and I do not have emails that I send out promoting my products and services and events. They are one of the same. So those of you who have got stuck in a bit of a rut to going, oh, I send out a monthly newsletter and then I could be promoting in between, they're two different lists. I say, bring it together. You shouldn't, good email marketing is about selling and giving value at the same time. So all your emails need to sell and all your emails need to engage. So when you come at it from that point of view, if you can do it, your emails is one list. Now, obviously, there's going to be some businesses here that do have different marketplaces. So, Suzanne's point of, if you get someone signing up for dog shampoo, let's use that as an example, and then suddenly you've got a sideline of dog biscuits, is that all one and the same? Probably, yeah, because it's doggy market. But if you suddenly bring in speedboats or nappy business, then it's a completely different product. So that is obviously a different list. So be sensible about your lists. And I think for me and for a lot of people that I speak to, so creative entrepreneurs, people selling their expertise, they've only got one list. You do not have, 15 different lists. So if you can do one tick box, do it. Okay. Don't split your newsletters out with your sales promotions because they should be one of the same thing. Okay, that's what people are signing up for. So that's my take on it. I know it's a marketer's interpretation, but be aware that I think a lot of people I've seen asking questions is that they don't need to be separating newsletters from sales and promotions. For me, it's the same thing if you are selling the same thing to the same people.
Yeah, I mean, I would have a tick box that talks about email newsletters that might contain details of our offers and promotions, because it is important to be as transparent as possible about that. But yes, I mean, any good email newsletter should occasionally, if not all the time, have some detail about what's going on with your business. And if you're running a great promotion, then why wouldn't your faithful email subscribers want to be the first to know about that? So I think that absolutely have to one tick box, but make clear what you are actually going to be doing with that.
In fact, actually, if anybody signs up for the report I've got, you'll see my new GDPR compliant tick box. And I think what I've put on it is that tick this box if you would like helpful, entertaining, and emails that tell you about my products and programs, or something that I can't remember the exact phraseology, but it frames it that it's of value, but they are still promotional emails. So it covers it together in one thing. But yeah, you're right. You wouldn't want to say sign up for my newsletter and then promote stuff. You've got to have that tied in together. So be sensible, guys. And as Suzanne said right at the beginning, you're not going to have the GDPR police person knock on your door on May the 26th going, excuse me, you haven't got enough tick boxes on your consult form there. Let's be sensible about it and really think about what we're selling. And if you absolutely can put it under one tick box, do it under one tick box, but make sure it's clearly put in there. from a market, from a creative writing point of view, that you're not hoodwinking and you're not deliberately lying. Comes back to ethical and moral businesses.
Absolutely, and make sure that you've got your link to your new privacy policy. If you don't have your new privacy policy yet, then go and buy my GDPR pack, still at the introductory price of £97, although soon to be going up, so go and grab that if you haven't already. Even if you've already got a privacy policy, it will change significantly. There's a lot more in it because GDPR actually specifies the things that we need to tell people. So it is a reasonably lengthy document, but it's quite straightforward if you spend the time. I mean, let's face it, no one's going to read it anyway, okay? No one's going to read it, but we have to have it, okay? Because if you get investigated, you can point to that and you've tick that box. So
I've got mine. I'm still going to put it on my website, but I've got it. Yeah. So thank you very much, Suzanne.
I mean, although saying that, I mean, I'm joking about ticking that box, but actually, and in fact, let me see if I've got the statement here from the Information Commissioner. The whole sort of thing about GDPR is that it's not supposed to be a legislative box ticking exercise. Elizabeth Denham said, "This is about more than legislative box ticking. Accountability is at the centre of all of this, of getting it right today, getting it right in May 2018, and getting it right beyond that." And it's the shift to accountability and having a real internal cultural shift about how we treat, as Karen says, people at the end of the day. It's not bits of personal data, it's those people that can be identified from those bits of personal data. And there has to be that culture shift and that understanding of how valuable data is, and put in policies and procedures and staff training, if you've got staff training, putting all of that good stuff into place so that data gets the protection that it deserves. Okay, awesomeness. Yeah. So let's have a look if we've got any questions, Karen. I think is that pretty much all that we want to say about that? I
can't believe it's 1 o'clock. I told you. Oh my goodness me, that's been a marathon. So thank you for anybody who's stayed for the whole session so far. That's I hadn't realised we've been talking so long.
I know. Doesn't time fly when you're having fun? I'm just
looking
back through
a topic I want to talk about.
Through some of these questions. Clearly the most important question here is, when is it going up in price, my GDPR pack? So it's going up on the 30th of March, so make sure you grab it before that. I'm sure we'll be doing lots of Facebook ads and stuff about, and things in the group about when that will be going up, to give you all a chance to buy it at the £97. Look in the pinned post for the link to the checklist and for the link it's the same link actually to watch the 2-hour training and to buy the pack, but it's all in the pinned post, so go check the pinned post out. Karen, where can people find your re-engagement campaign ideas that you've just been talking us through?
Yeah, we'll share the link in the group, but if you go to karenskidmore.com/re-engage, just re-engage after karenskidmore.com, it's there, and you can just
no hyphen in re-engage.
No hyphen,
just straight through.
Yeah, just re-engage.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to scroll through these questions, but if you've got any more questions, pop them in the chat box now, and we'll have 10 minutes of questions. Okay, Emily, I think Emily got her question answered there about MailChimp, and my iPad isn't letting me scroll up, which isn't particularly helpful. Okay, if you've got a question that hasn't been answered, just pop it in the chat box now.
I can scroll down. There's some questions about mail. It's only on a small screen, but we have a business relating to labelling school uniform. I'm going to do a survey. What's the biggest problem with school uniform? A, price, B, labelling, C, what else should I add? Anybody? Oh, and then it goes ... That's great idea for doing a Q&A. So those three suggestions, A, B, and C, and get somebody to reply back to you, Francesca. You'll do that would be, sounds like a good idea. Go for it. So Nicola asks, so if they don't open at all, they're unsubscribes or need to be removed. Yeah, and in fact, actually, this is a really important thing, is that I think there's going to be some of you that will want to just delete people off your list before you even send out the re-engagement campaigns. Because if you can go through and get rid of all your soft bounces, people that may have signed up from your list 4 years ago and haven't opened up an email in the whole of that time, there's every chance you'll never get them re-engaged. So do all of your email marketing systems, whether it's MailChimp, Infusionsoft, will have something in your settings that you can go and search for people who have not opened up an email in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, and just get rid of them. I did a big clear out actually back in January and took about 550, 600 people off my list. And my open rate went from 24% straight up to 31% within about 6 weeks. So it makes a real difference getting rid of these people. So do a bit of a brutal cleanup job, declutter, get rid of all the crap, the email addresses that are
Hang on,
broken.
Karen, they're people, not crap.
Sorry. They are, sorry. But all the broken emails, the emails that don't work, and it's just clogging up your system. Get rid of them and then start from there. So they don't open at all, Nicola. It's like I said earlier. So what? There's other people out there.
There's plenty more fish in the sea.
There is. There's loads more people to start a relationship with. We're getting to dating here.
So Louise says, question for me, why are we not seeing the big brands doing re-engagement campaigns yet? I'm thinking Sainsbury's, Bowden, Clinique, just some of the marketing lists I'm on. I haven't had any GDPR emails from them. Are they waiting for May the 25th? No, I mean, I have seen Barry Dunlop shared one that BMW did in the group, which I think marketing-wise was good. I'm not sure about the compliance side of it, but I suspect the reason that brands are waiting is because, to be honest, the guidance just isn't clear yet. You know, we're still waiting for the ICO are doing a code of practice on direct marketing and email marketing, and we haven't seen a draft yet. So that's probably why. Is that people are waiting for that. And
don't these guys, the big brands, have got expensive lawyers, or they've got their own legal department, and they might even, rightly or wrongly, be taking the risk of actually going, well, actually, let's wait until see what happens. We're not going to do this and lose 40,000 email addresses. Let's wait until we get a fine, because they can afford to take. Unfortunately, that's how some of the bigger brands look at things, don't they? I haven't seen many of them come through either. It'd be interesting to see what they all do. We'll probably have them all on May the 25th. Our inboxes will be like
right, let's see. So Karen says, would you advise that I stop my Facebook ads until I have the checkbox in place? Otherwise it's an expensive exercise to pay for people to come via Facebook ads, only to then potentially lose them.
It could be. How quickly is it going to take you to put a tick box on your, that's the sort of thing you could sort out in a couple of hours. So I don't think you'd have to switch them off for very long. But yeah, absolutely. The sooner you can get your current opt-ins GDPR compliant, you don't have to ask them. So that's why all of mine are now with the little GDPR compliant. And I've now set it up in my Infusionsoft account to say tick box under list hygiene, GDPR compliant. So it's the sooner you can do it, but it shouldn't take you that long.
Yeah, and also if you are providing them with value from the point they sign up to the point that you send out your email saying, here's please can you opt back in because of GDPR, then chances are they are going to see that email and they are going to opt back in. So I think, yes, as Karen says, let's make it GDPR compliant as soon as possible. But I think there's, if you are properly engaging them from the point that they come on your list, then you should, you're not going to lose. You're not going to lose 50% of them, because again, time is a thing, and if it's only going to be like a couple of months and you're sending them good stuff, then you're not going to lose. I would have thought you'll lose very many of those people that have come in through Facebook ads.
But I think actually switching your Facebook ads is that you're switching off your life force into. It's giving yourself permission to stop breathing. Will you go and try and eat healthily? You don't switch it off just so you're not. Just get your tick boxes in. That wasn't a very good analogy, but it's like don't strangle your leads coming into your business. Will you sort it out? Just sort it out. Does that make sense?
So Grace says, hang on, Karen, if you haven't got your new privacy policy on your website yet, are those new sign-ups truly GDPR compliant?
Oh, well, just give me another hour and it will be there. I think it's, do you know, it's one of those things, is like the policy change, it's there. It was me just racing to get everything sorted for today. I
didn't get that.
Minutes away, Grace.
I didn't get that, Karen. I actually thought that was a real question, as opposed to Grace having a go at you for.
No, she's not. There's a little
in an amusing
face.
way for not having your privacy policy on there. Okay, so Nicholas says, lots won't open the re-engagement email either. Should we allow a certain amount of time before removing them, or assume if they are soft bounces or no opens, they don't want to hear from us again? I'm not taking it personally.
No, exactly. You know, if I think you do need to give yourself a time, which is why it is a campaign. And don't see it as one email. And I've seen a few people do this. They're going, right, I'm sending you one email. If you don't click this link, you'll never hear from me again. You've got to remember that people go on holiday. One day they have a really busy inbox and they just literally select all and delete. It is about the follow-up. So think of it as a 3-part, 6-part email campaign, and give people a chance to see you and engage with you. But know that if you send too many, you go into stalking territory, and that's when people get peeved off. So it's about following up and then drawing a line in the sand and going, that's it. If they haven't done it by now, it's okay. I'm going to go and find some more people to go on my list. Yeah.
And Caroline says, Karen, your Click to Clients course is great for those wanting to start again from scratch.
No, thank you, Karen. Do you know what interesting is? This is what's happening, is Clicks to Clients is being reborn as a email nurturing kind of course. So I'm putting together something after Easter around loving your list. So I want to update Clicks to Clients and bring it into GDPR land and make it around nurturing. So you'll see it reborn again, Caroline, because I squashed it down at the beginning of this year, going, oh, not so sure, it needs updating. So yeah, it's being reborn again. So watch out for version 2.
Yeah, on that note, I mean, we all come on webinars, interviews like this and think, yeah, I'm definitely going to do that re-engagement campaign. And then, of course, what happens is that life gets in the way. And what Karen is actually really great at is working with groups of people she's a very good arse kicker, is Karen, in the nicest possible way. And she really holds your hand and walks you through and holds you to account in, doing what you want to do, which is not lose half your email list that you've worked so hard over the last 5 years or however long to build up. So if you want to know more about that, then I suggest you sign up for Karen's thing, the more detail that she goes into on the campaigns. And I'll get Karen to remind you again where you can get that. And I'll also post it in my GDPR group. Get hold of that. And then I'm sure Karen will let you know more details about that opportunity to work with her to actually do what you want to do, to put your re-engagement campaign in place and not lose half or more of your email list. So go grab that.
Yeah, thank you.
So it was actually, thank you, Farheen, for putting that in the group.
Thank you. Yes.
It's karenskidmore.com/re-engage. Super. And I'll pop that link in the group as well. Brilliant. Okay, I think that's all we've got time for. Oh, hang on. I've just seen one last one from Grace. Serious question this time. If doing the nothing but value campaign, is it worth putting a re-opt-in link on each one rather than as a single email after the campaign?
I think you've got to be transparent about what you're doing. I have seen people, just because you can get someone to click a link through to an article and then cloak a re-opt-in behind it, technically you're able to do that. But for me, that's ethically not right, because you're asking people to click through to an article, not to confirm their email. So be careful about using technology to do clever stuff and clickbaiting people. And saying, click this article because it's really good, and PS, by the way, when you do it, you're actually confirming your email. So if you're losing that transparency, you are definitely not being GDPR compliant there.
But you could have a little PS, couldn't you, saying, as changes to data protection law are coming into effect, we need you to confirm that you'd like to receive the following. Please tick here, or if you've got Infusionsoft, please click on this link to you know, if you want to,
yes,
you know, if you want to stay on our mailing list about X, then click on this link. I think that would probably suffice.
Yeah, and in fact, Grace says not being cloaking. There's no reason you can't have a PS, but remember, and this is the principles of email marketing that I teach. It's one call to action per email. You give people too many choices, and even two options. As soon as people have to make a decision, they often don't, and they don't do anything. So actually, you can try it, put it as a PS, but don't include it in the main body of the email, because people, if they click a link to the article, they didn't know they have to click something else. What I would do is to do the articles and then follow it up with maybe 3 emails to say, click here to confirm. So just don't try and get people to do too many things in one email just because it's easy for you. Because in my experience, people don't. They like to do one thing, one at a time, one email. That's when you get far better results, both from a sales point of view and for clicking consent. It's just good practice for emails. I see people going, oh, by the way, do this. Oh, and while you're reading the article, remember to do this. It's like, whoa, I'm on my phone. So remember, people read their emails on their phone on a small screen. Too much information, they won't do it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. All right, brilliant. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for being with us. Karen, massive thanks to you for coming on and sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Your expertise with us. And I'm very excited about how passionate you are about GDPR. I loved your ranty video, by the way. About people passing on fake news.
Fake news.
Hashtag
face
about
news,
GDPR. It's banned.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Karen. Please do go check out Karen's opt-in about getting your re-engagement campaigns. Please do go and get my free checklist, which is in the pinned post to my Facebook group if you haven't already. And also the pack is going up in price after the 30. How many days are in March?
30 days have September, April, June, and November. 31.
I think it's the 30th because that's the Friday, so that's why I chose the 30th.
That's Good Friday.
Oh, is it? Oh shit! Didn't realise that.
Easter weekend is the 1st. Is the 2nd of April.
Okay, well, it'll probably be the Thursday then in that case.
Yes.
So Thursday the 29th. Thanks for that. Tell the marketer, the marketing calendar there, can't you? I shall be sunning myself in Singapore or not. I'll just be sweltering to death in Singapore.
No, you won't. You'll be doing your daily GDPR videos from Singapore?
I will be doing my daily GDPR videos from Singapore. And then Thailand. So we'll be getting some exotic, rather than my office, we'll be getting some exotic backdrops on my GDPR videos. So looking forward
You could be
that
true GDPR consultant sitting there swinging a cocktail with the lush. Well, I have to know all this money I'm making from GDPR. No.
Yeah, I think on an hourly rate per basis, it's probably less than my cleaner, to be honest, the amount of hours I'm putting in. But, you know, in theory.
This is my big yacht.
Yeah. So go grab my GDPR pack and Karen's thing, and you'll be sorted. Basically, good luck with all of your re-engagement campaigns. Hope you don't. Go check Karen's thing out because you know, like I say, losing half of your email list is not a happy prospect when you put so much time and effort into it. So do go check that out and let us know how you get on with it. And also, if you see any good examples of re-engagement campaigns from anybody else. Feel free to share that in the group as well. And so thank you, Karen. Been great.
No, you're welcome.
Great chatting with you. Thanks everyone for your questions and for being here. We've got some more interviews coming up in the group. We've got a MailChimp expert coming on next week, I think. So I'll post the details of that soon. And I'm on the case trying to interview people from places like Facebook and Google and Amazon. So we'll see if that brings any fruit. But we'll leave it there. Thanks for joining us. Karen, have a wonderful day. Speak to you soon.
Yes.
And I'll see you all in the group.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.